Hello, hello. Hi, welcome to the innovation stage at Coverings. Thanks for being here. This is a great crowd we've got this year. Don't know if you're able to join us this morning. I'm Alex Smith. I'm with the National Tile Contractors Association. I've got Kate up here with me and training team manager Matt Wellner over here with us. Matt gave me a real workout this morning when we looked at zero entry shower receptors in a concrete slab. This afternoon, we're going to be looking at foam core backer board. Yeah, this has recently been added to ANSI, so very exciting. I have been working with foam core backer board for a long time, but having a standard in place helps all of us. So we're going to talk a little bit about foam core backer board and what it takes for that to become a suitable substrate for tile installation. Anyone familiar with the term ANSI? Yep, so ANSI is the American National Standards Institute. We've done a little bit of pre-work here today, made some modules. We're going to show 4 different types of foam board today that all fall within ANSI 118.18. Okay, so Kate's here. She's going to be my hands today. And Kate, if you want to go ahead and get started on our first module, I'll talk a little bit about get into the weeds with this technical data here for a moment. So we have a standard for the actual material. Those fall under our A118 standards. That allows us to now begin developing standards for installation of those boards. So those would fall under our ANSI 108 standards. Those are in the works, which then allows us to have methods for foam board that go in the TCNA Handbook. Anyone familiar with the TCNA Handbook? All right, good. This is a good place to be. I'm in some rooms where no hands go up on that one, so I'm happy to be in this crowd today. So now, in the TCNA Handbook, we already have about 12 pre-existing methods that now include a reference to foam board. So we have methods in walls, bathrooms, which include wet areas, ceilings, countertops. Some of these products work in all of those locations. Yep. So to become a foam core backer board suitable for a tile substrate, there's a series of testing that each product, proprietary product, has to go through and meet those standards to be able to use that under a part of a tile assembly. So let's just start with the description here of what it means to be a foam core backer board. Right, so the definition in ANSI is it has to be a nailable, screwable backer board for underlayment panel with composed of a rigid foam core, and it may be covered and or reinforced with a facing coating. So the products that we're showing today have to meet a number of testing. So there's shear strength testing, dimensional consistency, so we know it's all similar sizing when we're using it from one end to the other of the board, so we can set things plumb, level, straight, and square to set our tile to it. Nail head pull through, so it needs to be dense enough so that it won't just pull off the wall or, heaven forbid, a ceiling once we've added the weight of our tile assembly to it. And then we've got flame testing and flexure strength, linear expansion and moisture content, fungal resistance, squareness, thickness, waterproofing, waterproof assembly, and durability or density with the Robinson floor test. Some foam cores are dense enough that we can actually use them as a backer board underlayment on our floors. You'll want to check with each proprietary product to make sure that it's rated for that area. Yeah? Any questions so far? Who's using foam board out there? All right, lots of folks using foam board. Okay, so interesting things about foam board. This first one that we're working here is a foam core that has a waterproof sheet membrane coating, factory adhered to both faces, that also incorporates a fleece that increases its bond strength, and when you're working your thin set mortars into it so that it grips that tile and stays adhered and bonded to our substrate. Now, I mentioned that waterproofness is another requirement to fall in the foam core category. However, where we have seams, penetrations, and joints, we have places that are going to need to be waterproofed. We can't just slap this board up, leave our seams wide open, and say, hey, we're good for a wet area here. So when used in a wet area, we do need to take some extra steps, and there's several options with different products of how that manufacturer is going to recommend waterproofing their foam core. So Kate's over here working with a product that is a sheet waterproofed facing and also on the back. So you can actually use this board either way. And then she's using their banding that gets installed over any of our joints, any of our screw holes with the patch, with thin set mortar. Yeah? So, Kate, how we doing over there? Moving right along, all right. So yeah, Kate's working down our corner. You can see she's using a small notched trowel and then flat knives. She's using simple plastic taping knives or sheetrock knives to then work that fleece into our thin set, dry set adhesive so that we have a full bond and we're creating a waterproof surface. And with this particular product, we want that banding to be 2 inches past any penetration. So Kate, maybe could we show a square around a screw? So we can take this banding, we can cut it into a square like this, and put that over our screw hole patches, our screw hole areas, and this will also create those to be waterproof. Banding comes in various thickness and sizes, can be used for this particular product. Also, you'll notice that with this board, Kate's used a required washer to hold this board into place. This particular board, with its density, needs an additional surface space on the fastener to hold it in place. When we're working on a wall surface, every 12 inches on our 16-inch stud. This product can go up to a 24-inch stud if you use a thicker level of the board. Comes in various thicknesses based on your application. We can also use this foam board on the ceiling. We're going to move our fastener spacing to every 8 inches, every 6 inches on the ceiling. Yep, all right. Great, looks great, Kate. So Kate's going to move on over here to another option we have. Now, this is also a sheet applied on the face of this foam core. It's a little more dense, so you'll notice with this product's fasteners, we were able to just use a screw. We want to use the appropriate recommended screw by the manufacturer to hold this product into place, but it has that density. With this product, there's a few options of how you can go about doing that waterproofing. They give us some options. One, we can use a liquid applied paintable waterproof membrane, which is what Kate's going to do over here for us. When we're using a liquid applied paintable waterproof membrane on this product, we're needing to cover our seams, our screw holes, anywhere we have a penetration. We don't need to go over the entire surface of the board because it's already a waterproof surface, right? So Kate's using a little bit of liquid applied membrane, and then on our joints, it's recommended that we use a alkaline resistant mesh tape. So she's embedding this mesh tape in her liquid applied membrane, and then once that dries, she's going to use a second coat to get the correct thickness of the liquid applied membrane for this particular product. Good job, Kate. Keep going. Yep. So thanks, Matt. So over here, also a foam core backer board membrane. Yeah. So a little different about this particular product is it's a cementous coated foam board. So the core of this product is what the waterproofing is. Our cementous coating still has a little bit of an absorptive property. There's a reinforced mesh within this, but it's actually the center of this board that is what is our waterproofing. So with this particular product, we're wanting to make sure we seal between our seams when we're installing this product. Got it, Kate? Doing good? Awesome. So Kate's going to show running a bead along the seam here. So this is a product that would need our SSD when we're installing tile too. So that's a little bit of saturation or conditioning of the surface before we're applying our thin set mortars, so that that little bit of cementous coating doesn't wick all the moisture out of our thin set as we're applying tile. How are we doing, Matt? Oh yeah, real good. Awesome. So you can see Kate's put a nice liberal application of the sealant that comes along with this product. And she's going to fully embed that top panel right down into it and make sure that we are continuously sealed along that edge. Once Kate fastens in this second panel, maybe just tag one or two in here. Your knives? Yep. There was a set here for you. Yep. Here. So then, when using a sealant on these products, we're going to need to tool that sealant. One, so that we have a flat surface for setting our tile, and two, to make sure we've got no pinholes, no gapping. A lot of these sealants recommend about 1 inch to either side of our seam. We can also use this sealant on some of these products over top of our screw and washer penetrations to make a fully waterproof surface. I'm really working Kate out here. Can we tell? Yep, you're doing great, Kate. Doing great. She was nervous. She was like, hey, Alex, talk through everything you're about to make me do. It's a lot of work, yeah? But you can see how quickly we're moving with the waterproofing process of this board. So what are some benefits of using a foam board? So we've seen some, we've seen some that quick to do our waterproofing of our seams and things here. It's also incredibly lightweight. I love that I can pick up 4 of these sheets that are 4x8, walk them into my house, bump my brand new sheetrock and not put a big gouge in it, walk it right into my bathroom space, pull my razor out of my back pocket, and cut. No dust, no mess. My homeowners can be moving through, and it can go right up, right in place. I can prep a shower in about 3 hours this way. With a lot of these products, we're able to start tile installation either immediately with some of the banding or as soon as our sealant's set up. So it's quick, right after we flood test those floors. Yep. So we want to make sure it's a great practice and oftentimes required by code that we put a flood test on our floors of an area like a shower receptor that is going to be wet. So flood testing is a great option. So Kate's also using sealant over here on this particular product. This one's slightly different, so I left it for last. It still falls in with ANSI 11818. It is a foam core product. It's a little bit different product than the foam cores of these other 3 panels. It's got a bit more density. So we can use a screw. We can use a screw and a washer, like if we're on a ceiling, it's going to be required. We can also use a galvanized roofing nail. I wouldn't recommend that one. We can also use galvanized 1-inch staples with this product. So lots of options for fastening. We just want to follow the manufacturer's recommendations here on this product. It also has a fiberglass coating on its face. So it's very rigid, and it's a product that will work for floors, Our other greenish one works for floors as well. Yep. One interesting thing about this product right here, it also is rated for exterior spaces, and that's something that's unique about it in a floor area on an exterior space. Now, we still want to slope and mitigate water from that space. We're going to need to embed it properly. With this particular product, we're also going to want to make sure we have 1/8 inch gaps at all our edges, corners, and perimeter to allow for the contraction expansion of this particular material. Any questions so far? How am I doing? Making any sense? Telling you anything new? A little bit? Maybe not. All right. So an interesting thing about this particular product is one of their options with their sealant method for waterproofing, they have 3 waterproofing options, but they have did we already do the tape, Kate? Yeah. So to not have us wait until our sealant is set up, they've also provided what they call a seam fabric. Now, this is different than the banding tape, which they also have. So you can waterproof these joints in a similar way to what we did on module number 1 over here, or you can do it with the sealant like we did on module number 2 over here. But then you can place this banding tape over top of those seams, and we're going to lightly press this into the surface. We're not wanting that sealant to come through as we did with the alkaline tape, where we're wanting our sealant on both sides of the tape. What this does is it allows for a dry surface ready for us to begin troweling our thin set immediately so that we can start our tile installation right away. Any questions? Any thoughts? Coincide? Correct, yeah. Yeah, so as we mentioned, we've got the ANSI standard for the material. For installation of these materials right now, manufacturers' recommendations is the way to go. You can get to their technical data sheets. If you want to come see me in the NTCA booth, I'll tell you right where those are on their website, yeah? So, yes, Matt? Yep, so what I mentioned about the TCNA Handbook is there is about 10 to 12 methods that are pre-existing methods that now have mention of foam core backer board in those methods. So some of the methods that previously only talked about cement or fiber cement board now actually are listed in there, so we don't have to interpret and say, well, we know foam core works the same way. It's actually in print in the 2025 TCNA Handbook, so you can verify in writing where these products are used as an acceptable method within the TCNA Handbook. Now, ideally, we're always wanting a method and a manufacturer's installation instructions behind our assemblies. So it's great when we have both. We always want to look to the manufacturer's instructions if we need to get into the nitty-gritty of how those products get installed, what the screw spacing needs to be, which, as you can see on this one, we use washers on the bottom half, 12-inch spacing. We use their proprietary large head screw on the top half. That spacing drops to 8 inches there. 6 inches if we move to a ceiling. So some different characteristics about each product. I didn't quite have time to go over all of them, but all of these manufacturers are in the room, so feel free to stop by their booths and also see us at booth 2934. We got the biggest, brightest halo in the place. Any other questions? How are we doing? We're good? Yeah. This product here, so this is the fiber cementous coated. You want to know the name brand? You can come talk to me afterwards about that. All right? Thank you all very much. Enjoy your time at Coverings. Really appreciate you coming by.